What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video. Today, I want to talk about kind of the year of 2023 and how I've kind of reset myself. And I think this could be valuable even if you would find this in 2025. I think I think that what I went through this year and how I kind of just took the year to kind of reset myself, language related, of course, has been really helpful and has helped me in the long term. So at the start of the year, I, of course, made the video where I was talking about wanting to do 1,000 hours in Japanese, which was absolutely stupid. It is what it is, but a lot of that is because of having language guilt. And I think I don't remember if I made a video on language guilt or not. I know me and Lindy talked about it, and I think she made a video, but I don't remember if I made a video or not. But basically the idea that you feel like you owe something to a language, and it's just like anytime you study anything else, you're just like, oh no. And that's kind of where I was with Japanese. I felt, okay, well, if I do 1,000 hours, then like clearly this will be okay. This will help everything. Everything will be better, because I'm forcing myself to do this, which is absolutely the stupidest idea, in my opinion. But obviously I did not do 1,000 hours in Japanese. I didn't do 1,000 hours in anything because this year, basically, I started the year studying a bit, and I studied pretty well. And then, honestly, I kind of just realized, like, I'm going through the same motions that I've gone through the past few years. I started studying languages pretty heavily, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. I had studied languages prior to that, but when I really got into, like, language space and, like, interacting with people and, like, really loving the actual art of language learning. And every year, and I know that that's what everything in life is about sacrifices. But every year I remember having a conversation with Aaron, who runs, I don't know what he's doing now, but Fingtam Languages, about, I don't play games, because I am reading in another language or doing something in another language, or I don't do this or I don't do that. And so this year, kind of every time anything would happen, I would just use that as an excuse to just not study. And I would, honestly kind of loved it. And, there were spurts where I would study here and there, but for the most part, nothing stuck. I went to Kenya earlier, and that was awesome. And when I came back, I was like, well, I'm not going to jump right into language learning because I just got back from Africa. Let's enjoy the time, my family, stuff like that. And then shortly after, I went to Ecuador, where I had a and I apologize to Shalma about this all the time. I'm sorry. I really put him in a position down there, especially because of my poor health. Basically, I want to make a whole video on this. It's just I've not really been okay about talking about it until recently. I had a very near-death experience down there, and Ari, if not for Shalma, I don't know if I'd be alive. And that's the genuine truth. He's a good dude. The dude saved my life. That's 100% factual. And I'll share more of that story later. But of course, I come back and it's just kind of, man, everything's setting in. And I'm like, I've spent so much time learning languages. And it's obviously worked. I know that it's so much harder to really convey on YouTube what you're doing unless you're doing a video where you're, shocking natives, or if you're speaking on Omegle or something. But like when I was in Ecuador, I survived in Spanish. They didn't speak English down there. Now, if you went to like Quito, like we were in the capital for just a little bit, they did. But when we were with the Guarani tribe, there was no English. They spoke Spanish. They, from where I guess they've been, I don't know if you'd say colonized or not, whatever, since they've been in contact with the outside world. It's only been over the course of like 50 or so years, but they spoke Spanish and Guarani, which obviously I did not speak Guarani, but I made it in Spanish. I can understand a pretty decent portion of what they said. I really struggled speaking. That's a whole different thing, but being able to understand, so it's like, obviously I've done okay. Like I made it, I survived. I didn't have to have translations on stuff. I could comprehend, for the most part, what was going on, unless it was like very specific, targeted dialogue such as like, oh, these are poisonous darts, or, you know, like poisonous darts, something I don't know if I've ever come across, like stuff like that. And so obviously learning languages has worked. So like the time that I've put in isn't necessarily in vain, but as I start to sit here and think after I come back, I'm just like, there's so much stuff I've not done over the last few years because I've always felt bad if I don't study languages. And so this year I just took it easy, man. I took it easy. I didn't study. I did study, but I didn't study a lot. Like when you saw the videos that I made, like that would be a little bit of a time frame where I would study. And then the rest of the time, man, I kind of spent playing like games or like reading stuff that I wanted to read in English, because that's like a weird thing in the language community where some people are like, you shouldn't be reading in English. And it's like, why? I mean, do what you enjoy doing, man. Who cares? People take it way too serious. And it's a hobby. It's literally a hobby. And so I spent a lot of the time doing that. And then anytime anything would come up, I would be like, oh, cool. This is just an excuse, right? Like, you know, studying Mandarin heavily, writing the characters, and it's like, boom, all right, I got to go to St. Louis for a little bit, so let's not study. All right, cool. Come back, everything's going good. Boom, break my elbow. Can't write anymore. I can't write anymore, so let's hang out. And honestly, it's excuses, but at the same time, it was really good because now I'm in a position where I've taken a year to really kind of find myself and to kind of be able to enjoy things that I haven't done. But also more importantly, it's kind of taught me how to kind of mix my personal life and language learning together and be able to do and enjoy both. I come so heavy from an aspect of like an MIA or an AJAT thing where it's like, oh, you've got to study 700 hours a day or you're a complete failure. And so I always thought that if I couldn't spend that much time, then I was a failure. And I'm not saying, like, obviously the challenges are great. I think it's great to challenge yourself and do 40 hours in a week or something like that. But I think just a normal amount of time, like, I don't have to sacrifice doing outside stuff or a new game comes out and I want to play it or read a book or anything like that. Like, you can still do that and still enjoy languages. It's about juggling time. It's about partitioning time for specific things that you enjoy. And that has been incredibly helpful for me this year. That's really, really helped my my mentality, kind of my mental health. And then it's also helped me over the past little bit. I've gotten, especially after having that experience in Ecuador that I mentioned earlier, I'm starting to try to take my health seriously. I've been eating a lot better, but I've got to get more active. And that's, you can obviously tell that that's not really my forte. And so I've got to do that. And so that's kind of where I'm at now, is like, now I've got time kind of partitioned off where I can still study languages for an hour or two, or maybe more, who knows? I mean, it just depends on what I've got going on during the day. And then I can also be active. I can go for a walk, go for a hike. I can play a game if I want to. I can read, I don't know, Percy Jackson again or Harry Potter again. And it doesn't have to be in Spanish, although it could be. Or it doesn't have to be in Chinese, although it could be. It's just do what I enjoy, and it depends on what I am doing. And this year has been so good at just clearing my mind and letting me figure out how I want to carry on as a language learner. Now, I'm not saying that this is stuff that everybody should do or whatever. I mean, do what you're comfortable with. If you feel like you need to study 10 hours a day and you can juggle it and you're happy, I think you should do it. If I could do it, I would. But it's just there's a lot of stuff that I want to do outside of language learning. Because again, this isn't a job. Me talking about languages is not a job. Now, my job technically is in language learning from working with Xiaoma, but it's not, it's a little different because I do like editing and stuff, and some editing and some this, that, and the other. And like, it's just a thing where I don't have to know a language specifically to do that. So me talking about language and language learning is from my own enjoyment. It's from my own kind of volition or whatever. And it just makes me happy that I found a way that I can enjoy language learning as a hobby, just like I enjoy playing video games as a hobby, or just like I enjoy, I don't know, going to a baseball game as a hobby, like, and being able to carry on with it, but being able to put enough time in order to be able to speak it. And a lot of that does come from that Ecuador trip where I couldn't tell you how I've learned Spanish. Like, there's not anything that I've done specifically. Like, I took Spanish in school, but I had a 28 for the year. Like, I failed Spanish miserably. But I do think that that played an effect. I do think there's something there that I internalized. I think a lot of people give that a bad rap, and they're like, I took 6 years of Spanish in school but learned nothing. Like, you internalized something. And then, I mean, I would do Duolingo for a little bit, or I would do read a little bit. I don't know. But when I get to Ecuador, I'm good. Like, and that's not anything that I ever spent that much time on. Like, I didn't spend 8 hours a day on Spanish. So some things just worked over the course of years of me dabbling here, watching TV there. I don't know. So being able to learn of how I can progress and being able to see that, but being able to juggle things that I want to do in my spare personal time has been huge. So this year has been great. I am language learning and stuff like that, and everything is going good. Everything is working out fine. I've gotten back into doing stuff. I'm dabbling with stuff. I'm doing my Mandarin. I'm doing some Spanish. I can make videos about those because they're kind of two different things. My Mandarin is at a level where it needs more attention, but at the same time, I'm learning the characters and learning how to write. And then my Spanish is at a level where I can understand most of what I'm watching. I'm just looking to get more into it, to just be able to understand that last little bit, which I know could take a long time, but I don't think, like, I'm right there, man. It's right there on the cusp of being able to understand almost all of it. Like, I'm right there. And so I just want to give a little more time to Spanish in order to be able to say, hey, this is what I'm learning this. I can understand what's going on. So, and being able to understand native speed is something that I've been working on the last little bit. I've been putting, some hours in here and there, and, like, you know, going for a walk, I can put my headphones in, listen to some Spanish, and I understand it more so than Mandarin, for example, so it's enjoyable. And this is just kind of what I've been doing over the last week or so, getting back into things after I've kind of really just evaluated everything that I'm doing. So anyway, I'm going to leave that video here. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's great talking, kind of doing one of these traditional old school style me videos where it's just me talking and kind of almost like a diary or journal entry. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I hope your year has gone great. I hope that whatever your goals were, you accomplished, or you're near accomplishing, because we're almost at the end of the year. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you again. I'll see you very, very soon with another update. And like I said, if you have any questions or anything, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys very soon.